Tonight's installment is dedicated to destiny and the power of belief. You asked me once to believe, and I believe. I believe. I believe. My river. Now, this is A Wizard of Earthsea, Chapter 5, Part 3, The Last Sentence. When their eyes were clear from the dazzlement, they saw the young man lying huddled forward on the earthen floor beside the pallet where the child lay dead. To Petchfairy it seems that the wizard also was dead. His wife wept, but he was utterly bewildered. But the witch had some hearsay knowledge concerning magery and the ways a true wizard may go, and she saw to it that Jed, cold and lifeless as he lay, was not treated as a dead man, but as one sick or tranced. He was carried home, and an old woman was left to watch and see whether he slept to wake or slept forever. The little Otok was hiding in the rafters of the house, as it did when strangers entered. There it stayed while the rain beat on the walls and the fire sank down, and the night, wearing slowly along, left the old woman nodding beside the fire pit. Then the Otok crept down and came to Jed, where he lay stretched stiff and still upon the bed. It began to lick his hands and wrists, long and patiently, with its dry leaf-brown tongue. Crouching beside his head, it licked his temple, his scarred cheek, and softly his closed eyes. And very slowly, under that soft touch, Jed roused. He woke, not knowing where he had been or where he was, or what was the faint gray light in the air about him, which was the light of dawn coming to the world. Then the Otok curled up near his shoulder, as usual, and went to sleep. Later, when Jed thought back upon that night, he knew that none touched him when he lay thus spirit lost. Later, when Jed thought back upon that night, he knew that had none touched him when he lay thus spirit lost, had none called him back in some way, he might have never been lost, or he might have been lost for good. It was only the dumb, instinctive wisdom of the beast who licks his hurt companion to comfort him. And yet in that wisdom, Jed saw something akin to his own power, something that went as deep as wizardry. From that time forth, he believed that the wise man is one who never sets himself apart from other living things, whether they have speech or not. And in later years, he strove long to learn what can be learned in silence from the eyes of animals, the flight of birds, the great slow gestures of trees. He had now made unscathed, for the first time, that crossing over and return which only a wizard can make with open eyes, and which not the greatest mage can make without risk. But he had returned to a grief and a fear. The grief was for his friend, Petchfairy. The fear was for himself. He knew now why the Archmage had feared to send him forth, and what had darkened and clouded even the mage's foreseeing of his future. For it was darkness itself that waited for him, the unnamed thing, the being that did not belong in the worlds the shadow he had loosed or made. In spirit, at the boundary wall between life and death, it had waited for him these long years. It had found him there at last. It would be on his track now, seeking to draw near to him, to take his strength into itself and suck up his life and clothe itself in his flesh. Soon after, he dreamed of a thing like a bear with no head or face. He thought it went fumbling about the walls of the house, searching for the door. Remind you of something? Such a dream he had not dreamed since the healing of the wounds the thing had given him. When he woke, he was weak and cold, and the scars on his face and shoulder drew and ached. Now began a bad time. When he dreamed of the shadow or so much as thought of it, he felt always that same cold dread. Sense and power drained out of him, leaving him stupid and astray. He raged at his cowardice, but that did no good. He sought for some protection, but there was none. The thing was not flesh, not alive, not spirit, unnamed, having no being but what he himself had given it, a terrible power outside the laws of the sunlit world. All he knew of it was that it was drawn to him and would try to work its will through him, being his creature. But in what form it could come, having no real form of its own as yet, and how it would come, and when it would come, this he did not know. He set up what barriers of sorcery he could about his house, and about the isle where he lived. Such spell walls must be ever renewed, and soon he saw that if he spent all his strength on these defenses, he would be of no use to the islanders. What could he do between two enemies if a dragon came to Pendor? Again he dreamed, but this time in the dream the shadow was inside his house, beside the door, reaching out to him through the darkness and whispering words he did not understand. He woke in terror and sent the weir light flaming through the air, lighting every corner of the little house till he saw no shadow anywhere. Then he put wood on the coals of his fire pit and sat in the firelight, hearing the autumn wind fingering at the thatch roof and whining in the great bare trees above. And he pondered long. An old anger had awakened in his heart. He would not suffer this helpless waiting, this sitting trapped on a little island, muttering useless spells of lock and ward. He could not simply flee the trap. To do so would be to break his trust with the islanders, and to leave them to the imminent dragon, undefended. There was but one way to take. The next morning he went down among the fishermen in the principal moorage of Low Torning, and, finding the head island man there, said to him, "I must leave this place. I am in danger, and I put you in danger. I must go. Therefore I ask your leave to go out and do away with the dragons on Pendor, so that my task for you will be finished, and I may leave freely. Or, if I fail, I should fail also when they come here, and that is better known now than later." The island man stared at him, all drop-jawed. "Lord Sparrowhawk," he said, "there are 9 dragons out there. 8 are still young, they say. But the old one, I tell you, I must go from here. I ask your leave to rid you of the dragon peril first, if I can do so." "As you will, sir," the island man said gloomily. All that listened there thought this a folly or a crazy courage in the young wizard, and with sullen faces they saw him go, expecting no news of him again. Some hinted that he meant merely to sail back to Hosk in the inmost sea, leaving them in the lurch. Others, among them Petrury, tells that he had gone mad and saw its death. For 4 generations of men, all ships had set their course to keep far from the shores of Pendor Island. No mage had ever come to do combat with the dragon there, for the island was on no traveled sea road, and its lords had been pirates, slave takers, war makers, hated by all that dwelt in the southwest parts of Earthsea. For this reason, none had sought to revenge the Lord of Pendor, after the dragon came suddenly out of the west upon him and his men where they had sat feasting in the tower, and smothered them with flames of his mouth, and drove all the townsfolk screaming into the sea. Unavenged, Pendor had been left to the dragon, with all its bones and towers and jewels stolen from long-dead princes of the coasts of Palm and Husk. There I leave you, now to dream. These words reverberating from within. I tuck you in with these gentle sounds until tomorrow I come again. And I can't think of anything now. Good night, River. I'll see you in my dreams.